you're getting pitched all the time. And whether it's something that would be beneficial for you or not, just because of the way you were approached, you were immediately turned off.
Hello, and welcome to the Millennial Mastermind Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Mulvey. If you're a millennial looking for actionable advice and a proven formula on how to build the life of your dreams, then this is the show for you. Each week, I'll be connecting with inspiring guests who will be sharing their wisdom on how to reach success. So if you're ready to take your life to the next level, buckle up and enjoy the ride. What's up, folks? Welcome to the show. Have you ever asked yourself how you could really utilize LinkedIn, like up to its full potential? If you're anything like me, you created a LinkedIn when you're in college so you can have an online presence when you're going to get an internship or to land a job. You basically copy and pasted your resume on there. Since then, you've gone ahead and you've connected with all of your friends, some colleagues, some other business associates. Maybe you've even used it to try to network, try to reach out to people who you wanted to connect with, or to even find new customers or something like that. But for me, I've done those things, but I can't help but think with 500 million unique users on the platform, it seems like there's got to be a better way to take advantage of it. So to answer those questions of how do I better use LinkedIn to my advantage, I brought an expert on the show to walk us all through it. So today we are going to be talking to Jimena Cortes. Jimena is a marketing consultant and specializes in LinkedIn lead generation. She's a published author, international speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of Wizard Media and LinkedIn Blueprint. Jimena has taught over 4,000 people worldwide how she gets multi-million-dollar companies as her clients, specifically using LinkedIn. She's been mentioned on Inc.com, Entrepreneur.com, and Forbes, just to name a few. So this episode, we dive into all things LinkedIn. We talk about how companies can better utilize the platform, how individuals like you and I can actually leverage LinkedIn to get ahead in our careers or with our businesses. How can we connect with high-level contacts on the platform? The most common mistakes that people are making on LinkedIn, and much more about how to utilize this giant social media platform to our advantage. So it's a really fun one today. I hope you guys enjoy this. Very tactical, lot of nuggets you can pull out of this, and I think that you're all going to get a kick out of it. So with that, please welcome Jimena Cortes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Millennial Mastermind Podcast. Today, we are joined by a guest who is an expert in a field that most of us are familiar with, but we oftentimes have no idea how to actually properly utilize. And so today, first of all, I will go ahead and welcome Jimena Cortes. Jimena, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, no problem. And the topic I teased is, of course, LinkedIn, and you're an expert on many things marketing, but that's one of them. And so I'm really excited to dive into that topic a little bit and see where else the conversation takes us.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. So to kick things off, would you mind just giving the listeners a little bit of background on yourself and how you ended up to where you are today?
Yeah, so I've always been really interested in online marketing and, like the laptop lifestyle. One of my hobbies, or I guess favorite thing to do in the world, is travel the world. And so I really wanted to have a lifestyle where, I can go anywhere I want on a whim and still have, income and still be able to afford it and still have everything, in place, and not have to ask somebody, for permission to take a vacation, and and be limited by some sort of salary kind of thing. Like I want to be able to make as much as I want and as much effort as I'm willing to put in. So, I started in marketing. God, I think it was like in 2008, 2009. I taught myself SEO, and I was working at different marketing and sales companies. Everything always had to do with online stuff. So then finally in 2012, I decided to go off on my own and start my own SEO company. And I was very good at SEO. I could rake a website, but the challenge that I ran into was getting clients. And I was trying everything I could. I had unemployment for like 3 months, and that ran out. And then I'm like, okay, well, this isn't really working too well, because 6 months went by and I only had one client. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't really gonna, pay the bills. So I started using LinkedIn as a way to find another marketing job. And as I'm looking through there, I'm seeing that the people that I wish were my clients, like doctors and lawyers, there's thousands of them on LinkedIn. So I figured at this point, I really have nothing to lose. It's whoever responds first at this point, a job or a client or anything. So I started connecting with a lot of doctors and lawyers, and then within 2 weeks, I got my next client. He was an attorney that I met on LinkedIn. He's still a client today and refers me business all the time. And then I also kept getting more clients after that. So that whole experience turned into not only not having to get a job and having my online business and growing it successfully using this marketing strategy, other people started me asking to do it for them. So now my company still does SEO, but we also do LinkedIn marketing and training, as a result of my own experience of how I grew my business. And so we help other people do that too.
I love that story. And so there's a few things I want to dive into there, but one aspect of that I'm really interested in hearing about is that time period where you had transitioned from working what I assume was either a corporate job or in some sort of organization, and then switched over to full-time entrepreneurship. So what was that transition like? Kind of what was your mindset like there? Because a lot of listeners of this show are in a position where they're currently maybe working for a company, but they have that dream of working for themselves. And I love how you put, the laptop lifestyle, where you can work from anywhere, you can travel, you can do what you want and be on your schedule. That's kind of the dream, right? So The hard part is making that switch from that comfortable position of being in a job to going out on your own. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what that transition was like for you.
Well, I wish I had something really cool to say, but I think I was just kind of forced into it, because the job that I was at, it was paying well, but they let us all go because they were moving their company to Bulgaria to save money. Obviously, Bulgarian employees are going to be a lot cheaper. So, that happened. And like I said, I had unemployment for 3 months. And I was like, I can take my skill sets and probably make a lot more money just getting clients myself. So I figured while I have the unemployment, I'm going to start to try to build my business. And I had some savings too, so I was okay. But that was really like the kicking point was, okay, this happens when you have a job. You're all into it a lot of times, and they'll give you a 1 or 2 week notice that your job is ending. And now what? Well, I'd rather be able to have a little bit more control of my future. I mean, I still have a bunch of bosses. My bosses aren't all my clients, but I have a lot of them. So if I lose one, my entire income doesn't go away. When you have a job, you've got one boss, one income. When you have a business, let's say you have 10, 20, 30 clients, however many it is, you lose one, 2, or 3, you're still okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can go out and get more.
Yeah, and I commend you for taking that path, because I'm sure one option on the table would be to go find another job. But taking advantage of the opportunity, like you said, you had the unemployment and a little bit of savings, but I'm sure that it's still a scary decision, especially when you hit that 6 month mark and you're still just with one client. Which brings us right up to the LinkedIn chapter of your story. And so LinkedIn it just has always fascinated me, but I feel like it's an area where anybody I've graduated from college with, they're on there, they have their professional page, maybe they check it once a week, once a month, and they like a few people's changes in their jobs and all of that. But I feel like it is very underutilized
Big time.
in most people, by most people who are using it, and especially amongst millennials who know it's important to have it, but don't know exactly how to leverage it. So I know that you do a lot of work with companies leveraging it, and we'll definitely get into that. But I also want to talk through a little bit how individuals, and especially millennials, can leverage LinkedIn. So I guess let's start with on the company side. What is the best way how is it most underutilized by companies who are on LinkedIn?
Well, a lot of people think it's just a place where you can get jobs, you can find employees or get employment. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way, LinkedIn it's like a huge networking event on steroids that's live 24/7, never goes down. And you're not limited by geography. You can connect with whoever you want, no matter where they're at in the world. So I always tell people, for my clients that are, large companies and they're looking to get clients, we use LinkedIn to connect them with their ideal prospects and get an appointment. So we're like the appointment setters for them via LinkedIn, so they can, do a demo and all this kind of stuff. One of our clients right now, it's a medical company. They have 2.4 million in contracts right now, just from the leads that we generated from them in the past 90 days off of LinkedIn.
Wow.
In the medical space. So it's like, it's incredibly profitable. You just have to know who you want to go after. So at the end of the day, most people want to get clients. Some people think it's just for jobs and that kind of stuff. But LinkedIn is a place where you go to get the relationships that you do not have right now. They're nowhere in your network. And those relationships can take you from where you are to where you want to be. So what am I talking about? Well, that could be, if you're in a B2C kind of business, then you might want to, be getting buyers for your products or people that can promote you and you can promote them. So like referral partners, people who can promote you in the sense of PR, right? There's a ton of writers for all the major magazines on LinkedIn. You just got to go do a search. Like I did a search the other day for Forbes writers. I got like 2,000 results of people that write for Forbes. So it's like, who do you want? What do you need? Do you need investors? There's thousands of investors. We actually are running a campaign right now targeting VC firms, and they're responding at crazy rates to my client before he even asks for the meeting. They're like, hey, we want to meet with you, just from what we did for him on the profile. So it can be used in a lot of different scenarios, not just to get clients or to get a job, but to get whatever it is that you need for your business, whether PR, joint ventures, referrals, cross promotions, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fascinating because there's so many company pages out there on LinkedIn or profiles or whatever the proper terminology is, but you go on and it's almost just like a cookie cutter screenshot of the homepage of their website, and it seems that they're not really utilizing that for anything besides just having a presence there. So when you look at it, you see it's an actual company, but it doesn't really tell you much. So for that medical company that you had mentioned, where they're doing, I believe you said 2 million in the past 90 days just from LinkedIn leads. So how, when you stepped into work with that client, what changes did you make to actually be able to make that an effective channel for them reaching leads and converting those to clients?
Well, see, we don't really use the company page. The company page, you're going to use it if you're going to run LinkedIn ads. We don't really do that. We focus more using their sales navigator. Okay. So we use an executive at the company. We use their profile to connect and engage with their ideal audience. And through those conversations that we're doing for them, we generate the appointment, and then they get on the phone with whoever it is that we gave them.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess that probably transitions us nicely right into the concept of how individuals can actually use their LinkedIn profiles more effectively. So maybe besides that individual who's approaching it from the company's perspective, trying to, generate more leads for their business, how can a millennial who has a LinkedIn page that's basically, a screenshot of their resume, use that more effectively to network and get in front of people that they would love to surround themselves with?
Well, you always have to think about it from the sense of, what's in it for them. Because when you write a resume, right, it's all about you. And it looks like everybody else. So everybody else on LinkedIn is just talking all about themselves and their duties at whatever job, and it's totally boring, right? So what you want to do is think about, well, who is it that I'm trying to reach? And then write the copy on your profile, kind of like it's a sales letter. It's a sales letter for the type of person you're trying to connect with, and, discuss why a person like that would want to connect with you. So if you're looking to get clients, rather than talking about all the stuff that you did, which nobody cares about you, they care about what you can do for them, then just talk about, some of the results that you get for your clients. Or, if you're looking for investment, talk about your previous business experience, where you've had successes and why somebody would want to invest in you, what's in it for them to connect with you. If you are, just starting out, talk about the results of what you did at the places that you worked at. What value did you bring to that organization? Not just what you did, which is what most people put on their resumes, but what was the result of that, the benefit? And why should, the kind of person that you're reaching out to, why is that helpful to them? So if you write your copy in that sense, when somebody sees you or you reach out to connect with them, it kind of subconsciously pre-sells them into wanting to do business with you.
I like that a lot. So how would you feel about doing a quick case study in the case of me trying to use my LinkedIn page to attract more guests who are individuals who are approached very frequently for this type of thing, whether it's a podcast interview or somebody wanting them to be their mentor or wanting something from these people? Could we run through real quickly how I might leverage the platform?
You'd wanna have a nice headline that talks about, let's say, and I'm just making this up, right? Top 100 business podcasts on XYZ. Okay, that's your headline. Mm-hmm. So then, in your summary and in your experience section, you talk about the guests that you've had, the amount of listeners that you have, and you want to even share some stories of when somebody was on your show, what happened with them as a result of being on your show. Maybe they got a client, maybe, something really great happened. So anything like that where you can discuss the benefits of why they would want to be on your show, that's what you would want to write about.
Perfect. So then when I stepped up to into the next stage of that, of actually trying to reach out to individuals, how would that process? What's the most effective way to go about doing that?
Well, you'd want to upgrade to Sales Navigator because that way it gives you a lot more search functionality. LinkedIn took away a bunch of the free functionality that used to be there, so they kind of make you pay for it now. So you'd have the Sales Navigator, and you literally just put in, your search, like what type of people are you trying to have on your show? Like, are they doctors? Are they international speakers? Are they, in a particular industry? Are they in a particular location? So you put in all your filters. LinkedIn will give you a list, and then you just literally reach out and connect.
That's awesome. So do you have any advice then when reaching out to an individual, how to cut through the clutter? I know with my own page, for example, I'm constantly getting different pitches through LinkedIn as messages. Is there a way to kind of stand out from the crowd and come through as more authentic, or just catch the eye of the person who is on the other side of that message, who might be receiving, dozens of these messages a week or even a day?
Yeah, I always tell, my students and my clients, it's all about saying the right things in the right sequence. Because of that same thing that you just said, you're getting pitched all the time. And whether it's something that would be beneficial for you or not, just because of the way you were approached, you were immediately turned off. So you have to be very careful. First of all, not everybody's going to accept your request to connect, right? Only about 20 to 25, maybe 30% of the people you reach out to, if you write your profile the right way, are going to accept. If your profile doesn't look that great and you don't look like that great of a connection, your acceptance rate is going to go even lower. Mm-hmm. So from the people that accept you, you can message those people for free. So now it's just a matter of, we usually send a series of 3 messages. And the first one is just, saying thank you, giving away a piece of content that they would find valuable, and just asking for their feedback. Like, we don't ask for anything. And then messages 2 and 3 is really where we focus more on making the case as to why you connected, why you think we'd be a good fit to maybe do some business. And if you're interested, why don't you let me know what dates and times you have available, and let's get on a quick phone call. And that's it. Your goal is to take them off LinkedIn and onto the phone. That's when this is the most powerful.
That's a great point there, because I feel like you need to have that goal set ahead of time to understand what you're trying to achieve by reaching out. Because all too often, even you'll get that LinkedIn request that you read through it and you go, okay, this person sounds great. You click on their web page or on their LinkedIn page, and just like you said, they're going to do their homework to see if you're a worthy connection. And then maybe if they get through that stage and, that 20 to 30% actually accept it, there needs to be a call to action there, or a way, or a follow-up, or some way to get them off LinkedIn or continue the conversation. Because I know, for me, as an example, I have plenty of connections that I've connected with because they requested me, and then the conversation never went anywhere from there. And now they're dormant connections that I don't even really know who these people are.
That happens a lot. When people, so I get a lot of requests to connect, and they're requesting me. But here's what I noticed early on that would happen. Like, so all these people would request me, I would accept, and that was the end of it. I was like, okay, well, that was pretty pointless. Why are we here to do business, right? So I just started asking, like, hey, so why did you reach out to connect, in a much nicer way? But that's kind of, the point. And a lot of times they answer, they're like, hey, I just wanted to network, you seem cool, or I might need your services in the future. The other day I had a dentist reach out to me, and I asked him why did he reach out, and he's like, hey, I was checking you out, thinking I want to become a client. I was like, well, sweet, let's have a call. So that was but I feel like if I hadn't asked, I'd probably accept, and then they forget, and then everybody moves on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's an interesting point, that sometimes you have to take on the initiative yourself as the person who received that request, to follow up to see where that may go, because you never know what can come from that.
Exactly.
So you may have already answered it, and feel free to let me know if that's the case, but is there one common mistake that you frequently see on LinkedIn that individuals are making that just drives you up a wall?
Well, I think it's something we've already touched on, which is when people connect with someone, they want to pitch right away. I think it just makes it's so spammy. It's just not the right way to go about it. You're not going to get business that way, so just stop, because you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I think that's true. As in any channel that you're trying to approach an individual who you may want something from, it ultimately, whether that's email. We all know how annoying it is to get a phone call where right off the bat somebody's selling something to you, and I can understand that should be the case, and we should all understand that's the case on LinkedIn too, because it's, at the end of the day, people connecting with people. So why would it be any different?
Yeah, and the other thing I would say too is, if you're looking to use LinkedIn as a marketing channel, another thing that I see people doing a lot is just not being consistent. Like, they'll get started, they'll make a few connections, have a few conversations, and then they forget about it. They're not tracking it. They're not being consistent. So then the results are not consistent. See, my team is in there Monday through Friday, every single day, and they report on everything, all the conversations. We have a tracking system to make sure that no leads fall through the cracks, and the ones that are interested, we make sure that those get followed up on. So, it's a very consistent way to grow your business, and that's why, 5 years later, we're still here. And I still haven't had to go back and get that job,
I love that. So over the course of those 5 years, I'm sure that you've learned so much along the way. But if you could go back in time and connect with, the Jimena from 2012 who was just about to run out of, or who had just kind of started doing all this SEO and different things for herself. What piece of advice would you give to yourself back at that stage of the game?
Well, the first thing that came into my mind was don't be so trusting of people. So, one of the things that I had happen, this was a couple of years ago now, there was a gentleman that I hired, and I taught him everything because I was trying to get him to take over all the stuff I was doing, like all the operations, so I could just focus on sales and marketing. Well, this guy I taught him way too much. He decided he was going to start his own company. And he basically, when I found this out, I fired him. And then he got mad and went to all the clients that he was managing and badmouthed me, then offered the same services at half the price, which there's no way you could do profitably once you hire help to do it for you. So that was a hard day because I lost a lot of clients, a lot of revenue, and it's just the hassle of it. So now I'm a lot more careful about who we hire, how we hire, and who has access to what and how much knowledge they have. Because nobody that works for me right now knows everything. So
that's a very interesting point. Because obviously once you scale to a certain level, it's impossible to do it on your own, and you have to have a team that you can rely on and that you can trust. So how do you balance that? I'm sure it's tough when you're licking the wound from an experience like that, but you also want to continue to take your business to the next level and continue to excel and grow beyond what your current capabilities are. So how do you balance those two sides of the coin of having a team that you trust, but also covering your back, if you will?
Well, like I said, different people do different parts of a campaign, so they don't all do everything. There is one person right now, my new operations manager, that he pretty much knows all the LinkedIn stuff. He doesn't know all the SEO stuff. But he's somebody that I've known for 10 years and I trust him. And I've also now given him a piece of the company so he feels like it's his. And that's working really well because someone's helping me that much. I definitely want to reward them. But even then, he still doesn't do everything. So that's really how I protect myself. We have contracts now too that you have to sign upon employment. So that helps a lot of that. And then just, I saw the red flags with that other guy in the beginning. I just chose to ignore them. I now listen to my gut a lot more. Your gut is usually always right. And I'm a pretty intuitive person. So that's all stuff that we've done. But right now, the team that I have is absolutely incredible. They do a great job. And it's really, because of how I've structured things after different learning curves and also just hiring people I really trust. Like my project manager, I used to work for him. So I know he knows how to manage, and I've known him for 10 years. So I know that he wants to see this company succeed and become bigger because it directly benefits him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a few great takeaways from that. One, just empowering the people that you bring on board, whether it's an actual piece of ownership like this case or in some other way, whether it's profit sharing or whatever, giving them that ability to feel the ownership within the company.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool concept. And then also just being able to trust your intuition and listening to your gut and bringing people on board who you can build trust with and know are in it for the long haul. So I think those are some great takeaways. And a great place to wrap it up, actually. So, Jimena, if anybody's listening to this and they want to learn more about how they can utilize LinkedIn, whether on a personal level or they're listening to this and they're thinking, wow, she sounds like somebody who would be perfect to help us with our company's LinkedIn strategies, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, if you just go to my website, jimenacortes.com, you can contact me through there and, find out more information about me as well.
Perfect. Well, Jimena, thank you so much for coming on today. This was really educational for me. I have always wanted to better understand how to utilize LinkedIn on a personal level when it comes to the business of the podcast. And this has been very insightful. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me here.